On the subject of Love Will Tear Us Apart, the fanfiction. This was a Cadence Shining Armor fanfiction, mostly Cadence. What happens is, Chrysalis comes to the Crystal Empire. She's like, I've got some news for you, Cadence. Cadence is like, you need to leave. And Chrysalis is like, I'll leave in a second. Just here's the baby. And Cadence is like, oh, so you're kidnapping now? And Chrysalis is like, shut your dirty whore mouth. And she's like, it's my son. And she's like, my son and your husband's son. Oh, snap. Chrysalis is like, I slept with your hubby and that's our son. She's like, I can't raise him because he's not like a normal changeling. He doesn't feed only on love. And Cadence ends up taking him and taking care of him. And her and Shining are fighting a lot. And the kid's a brat. He's like messing everything up and stuff. But then Cadence gets into a really big fight with Shining Armor, and then she realizes, like, because they're fighting with each other and they're not loving each other, that the changeling is like not he's not getting the food he needs as well because he's half changeling, so he needs regular food and he needs love, and yeah, she figures it out, and then her and Shining wake up, and then they don't. It just ends and they're happy ish. I think my problem with this is not my problem. This was it was a good fiction. I liked it. I'd say it was like a I'm hovering between a 3.5 and a 4. 3.5 because Cadence wasn't very cadency. Like they really made Cadence like quite aggressive. Like like when she finds out that Shining slept with Chrysalis, she like looks at him like it's his fault, and he's like, dude, I didn't know. He's like, how am I supposed to know? Like, what do you expect? Like, I was under a spell. And she's like, oh yeah, it just means she's just gonna sleep with anybody. And he's like, I thought it was, if anything, I would have thought it was you. And she's like, oh, so I'm a slut now. And it's just like, dang, Chris, Cadence, what the crap? That doesn't sound like what you would say in this situation at all. And then when they're fighting, like again, she's like bringing up, she's like, yeah, you just stare at my plot all day, blah blah blah, and it's like, yeah, she seems very, like, obviously she was overwhelmed here, but she wasn't overwhelmed. I mean, I guess she was mad because she found out that, but that's basically rape. Like, how are you gonna get mad at your husband? That's like imagine if it was role reversal, right? And and Shining Armor was the girl and Cadence was the guy, and like a tyrant king had came and like made like Shining fall in love with him, like used magic to make him fall in love with him, and then slept like rape her. And then like imagine Cadence being like, "Oh yeah, you slept with him." It's like, I don't think that's how that works, Cadence. That's kind of you're you're kind of being gender biased here. That's not Shining Armor's fault at all. And then she's just really like a lot more aggressive than I would picture Cadence to be. Um, Cadence seems like the least aggressive out of all of the Alicorn, and hearing her be like that aggressive and that like messed up, I guess it just was kind of like jarring. It didn't really fit how I would picture Cadence. I also my problem with um um the story is like, yeah, I think we all thought that, like, oh man, like she could have had babies, but I don't think Queen Chrysalis has babies in the traditional sense of having babies. I think she has babies that hatch from an egg. I don't think she gets pregnant. And on top of that, you have to take into consideration that I think that Chrysalis is disgusted by ponies. I don't think she'd be able to sleep with uh, Shining Armor. I think she'd be like, yeah, right, he's gross, because they're a different species. I don't. And not only that, but she looks down on ponies so much that I just don't think she'd be able to do that. Um, but it wasn't a bad story. I think I'd give it a 3.5 out of 5. It was acceptable. A slightly interesting premise. You could have done a lot more with it. I feel like it was kind of lazy too, because it's like, Chrysalis like, I'm gonna keep an eye on and blah blah blah, and she just leaves and never comes back. Like there could have been a lot more to this story. Um, but it's just a one shot that was about 20 something minutes long instead of a much longer episode. Fan fiction. But for what it was, just for some of the hang-ups that I had with it, I'd give it like a 3.5 out of 5. 7 out of 5. It was pretty decent, and I didn't hate it.